Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. In this video we'll be going through the premium forwards for AFL Fantasy in 2025, and this one is it's an absolute, I guess you could almost just put this down to about 10 players, and the more you go through it, the more you look at it, the more you realize, I feel like, that not many of these guys have much necessarily value per se, and I think it's very similar to the likes of the midfield line and the defender line, in that the top end guys maybe only have 0 to 5 points of value on top of what they scored last year, but it's realistically and this is very much apparent in the forward line, is that the guys below it in the sort of mid-prices bracket are very, very much the value bracket this year. And so we'll be spending a lot more time on the mid-prices bracket tomorrow, and then you'll have some other videos to go through on the week to come. But anyway, let's just jump into this video itself. So when looking at the forward line, Dylan Moore comes in the top price guy at 944k, priced at 92-ish. 92 on the dot actually. And yeah, he's a guy that I think ends up still in that top 8 range also. I just have a feeling that there will be some other guys that present a lot more value. And obviously we know that rookies dictate structure. So if we get like 5, 6, 7 rookies in the forward line that are actually half decent roles, then it will mean that you probably can go without some of these top line guys that may only have 5 points of value. But it definitely, I think Dylan Moore shouldn't realistically be the top scoring forward in 2025. I think also the way that their midfield structures up, I think that the point split could go a little bit against Dylan Moore with Will Day back in more so. I don't know what the with and without Dylan Moore and the likes of, do we have without? Okay, can I get this the right way around? Run with and without. So if I go Will Day, how does that impact? So Will Day, okay. So Will Day only played those. So Will Day played those games. So with and without other games outside of that. So if we look at the likes of Dylan Moore, he's a -16 without him. So that's an interesting proposition, that he actually plays worse with him, worse without him, than with him. So that's interesting because Will Day's back. So that's definitely an interesting scenario there. And it's actually, guys that are basically take his spot, obviously. So he actually doesn't have too much of an impact on anything. So that's definitely an interesting conundrum there. And Jai Newcomb plays the same. So I thought that would actually have a little bit more of a difference. But anyway, having said that, I expect Dylan Moore in that 90 to 95 bracket yet again. I could see a little bit upside just with Hawthorn being a little bit better. But then again, you could also see Hawthorn, they made finals this year, in 2024. Could they take that step back and then take that next big jump in 2026? We could see that. So I think his scoring doesn't really depend on the scoring of or how well the Hawks are going, as he's been a good fantasy scorer the last couple of years. It's just he presents no real initial value, and he's just going to be that trading guy that we look at. Horn Francis is certainly a guy that I feel like role dependent could go 100. Priced at 90, it's an interesting, it's very, very interesting. And with Willem Drew's injury, if this could be the type of call that if Willem Drew's injured in round 1, which we don't know what's going to happen there, if Willem Drew's not named on the team list, Jason Horn-Francis probably is almost in the must-have territory if he's going to play full-time mid for even 2, 3, 4 games to start the year. So that is definitely a watch with that. I only heard about the Willem Drew injury a couple of days ago when it was sort of popped up about Horn Francis playing full-time mid. So that's just a watch on that and how many full-time mids they have. Do Port. So that's the watch there. If he is full-time mid, then you pretty much have to pencil him in. If he isn't full-time mid, as in they already have Willem Drew, Rosie, and Butters, and he's that fourth guy. If not, they have Moraes and some other guys in there. I just want to also quickly just check. Let's go to all clubs. Port Adelaide. Let's just do Port Adelaide. All positions. They'll have Ollie Wines in there as well. Willem Drew could be could have an injury at the moment. They're not going to play. Travis Boak through there, and that's about it for midfielders realistically, I would think. Pal Pepper's not going to go through there. Berry might get a CBA or two. Maybe Will Lorenz comes in for a little bit, but you're looking there and seeing that there's no real midfielders outside of the main sort of couple, 3 or 4 there. So if Willem Drew is out, then I would be picking Jason Horne-Francis. If he isn't, then I feel like Jason Horne-Francis, like this is the difference between Horne-Francis. I don't think we'll have bigger ceiling games necessarily in the midfield, but I think it will just raise up his floor dramatically. If we go to Jason Horne-Francis, here we go. If you look at this, you'll see exactly what I mean in that if we take out his sub 80 sort of games here, his sub 80 games, if we just remove them, or even just the sub 50 games, that was an injury game, remove that one, and then let's just do all this here. There we go. We'll remove sub 60. We'll say that is the marker that we want to sort of remove. And we'll take out the injury game as well. He's suddenly a 91. If you remove that up to the 60s, up to sub 70, which could realistically happen as a midfielder, then you start to get into this 94.7 bracket, 95 bracket, which is top. That's going to be a top midfielder. You can just see. And then if you start to really crunch it down, which is actually quite hard to do because the CBAs sort of don't correlate too much to his scoring, which is an odd one. Like his highest CBA games, if you actually look at it, his highest CBA games, if we go here, are above 60%. If we actually look at this, I'm pretty sure I did this research a little while ago. If you actually look at the highest CBA games, the above 60%, he averages 91.8. So it's not like those CBA really actually take him to the next level. I don't think. He's just a weird conundrum of a player in terms of the leading characteristics we look at for a midfielder. He doesn't really correlate to them. So I just would rather him have that full on-ball midfield because generally he's going to be closer to the ball, he's going to get it more, etc. So that's why I do that. Brett Daniels, pretty much you can go back and rewatch what I said about Dylan Moore because that pretty much stands there. And the fact of the matter is he has the round two bye. It's just impossible, I feel like, in the forward line to have a Brett Daniels in there because of that. But definitely a guy I want to target after, especially if we see the CBA mix, because I feel like he's the type of guy that could get something there. If we just go to Daniels, I don't think he had too much. I want to say he probably had about 10% CBAs last year, 10% or so. It wasn't too much. 8% last year, and he had some in the back end here. But if we look at his end to the regular season, this end to the regular season was one of the best ends that I've seen from a non-CBA player. If we just go back here, had 7 games of 105 to end it. I think he could get more CBA time in that GWS midfield with them not really having much outside of Tom Green that's young enough. They'll probably put Finn Callahan in there a little bit more. I think he's the next one on there. That should probably get 20-30%. Graham Myers, I think he backs it up. But again, like you're looking at 85, I don't think there's much value there given the role that he's got. Very, very similar role to a Dylan Moore as well. Jeremy Cameron, just a key forward. I feel like he's going to go up and down, and he's getting on in age as well. So I just don't see there being value there. Key forwards are very, very hit or miss. Even with him being one of the better markers or around the ground markers, I just don't think he has the general upside there. Mason Woods, probably going to play on the wing, I would expect. Maybe also sharing that half forward space as the Saints, I should say, have 3 or 4 wingers there in their side, in their best 22. So that kind of knocks him down a little bit. And we know that wingers only really go outside of Errol and Josh Dacos, only really go about 70 to 80 or so. So it's kind of around about that marker anyway. Harry Mackay, I'm pretty sure he's had some preseason, not, I would say issues, not in massive injuries that are ruling him out or anything, just injury scares, I would say. 82, could he go off big against Richmond? He could easily do that, but I feel like this run here is relatively tough for him in the first couple of weeks here. And yes, he does have round 5, round 6 at West Coast and North, but yeah, I just don't know if I can really say that he's going to do incredibly well. Luke Parker, priced at like 80 or whatever, even though he averaged 66 for the Swans in the back end, it's taken off his 2023 average of, priced at 82, I'm going to say an 89 or 90 that he averaged for the Swans in 23. It's kind of hard to see him in a North jumper, not going to lie, but he's probably going to get 40% CBAs. And if we look at that, and I know that Abs did this with Supercoach relative, but Supercoach and Fantasy follow a very similar trend, or at least the trend lines are there in both. And if you look at Luke Parker, this was him kicking 3 goals in a dead game, so I don't know if you can really look at that. But even if you just say, we're going to look at all of these 40% CBAs, you can't really look at that one. Can't really look at any of these ones. We'll do a 50% as well. We'll look at anywhere in the high 30s to 50% CBAs is what we're looking for. And you'll see he doesn't really actually play that role too much. If we look down here, I'll count both of those. That one there, that one there. I'll even count this 57% just for the sake of it, just to get some more numbers into the system, or the sample size, I would say. And just looking down here, what the heck? I swear that's CBAs. Yeah, that was CBAs, and it was like 100%. So I don't know whether that was broken or not. This is definitely the right path I'm going down. And I know there was a big gap here. Just trying to load this back up again quickly. We'll add those 2 back again. This one and we won't include the 67. The 57 will include. 59 will include because he could tip that in a couple games. But yeah, you can see the 108 here. That's a little bit broken. But in 10 games, he's averaged 84.2. He's priced at 82, averaging 84. No value there, in my opinion. And I think I even included a couple of top-out games that he's probably not going to average 57% CBAs or whatever. That was sort of indicating towards, I don't think he'll be in that range of the mid-50s. I think he'll be on the lower end of that, as they've got Sheasel, Wardlaw, Simpkin, Powell, LDU. Alongside him, they've got 6 on-ballers there already. Alongside Finn O'Sullivan, who I don't expect to play too much on-ball. So you've just got a lot of guys in there. Isaac Rankin, if he didn't have the massive hamstring awareness every 4 weeks, then I would say this is a lot better option. I just think that his injuries are starting to pile up in the same area comparative to other guys that have spontaneous shoulder, hamstring, quads, etc. So yeah, his all seem to be the same injury, which isn't a good sign. But I feel like he's probably the guy in the sort of starting around the 80 marker that I feel like could be the most value. He could be a 95 guy. It's a lot of injury risk at the moment, I feel like, and there's just going to be better value there. Luke Jackson, I don't think you can go there, just because Sean Darcy should be back, and they've even used, I think, is it Reedy, as their number 1 ruck in some games, rather than using Jackson, which I find a little bit off, to be honest. Baker could be value. It's just West Coast are looking to be more frenetic, I would say, a little bit quicker through what they're doing, and that's not really fantasy inducive or conducive scoring or whatever the word is. So I don't think you can go there either. Connor McDonald, a guy that we've sort of flagged each of the last like 2-3 years, could take the next step. I just don't see him getting CBAs, which is, I think it's that button, which I just don't see him. There we go, Connor McDonald. I just don't see him taking that next step per se in terms of being able to score. In the finals game, he scored a 39. You take that out or whatever. Average 78 for the year. And yeah, I just don't know if you can really say that he's going to score dramatically well. If you do just randomly remove the 28, you will find that I'm pretty sure he's going to land somewhere around that 82, 83 marker. He did pick it up post-bye, which is a really good sign as well. It seems like he had a role change post-bye to limit the more forwards range. So he certainly is a guy that I'm intrigued about as we look post-bye, and you'll see that the stats sort of are conducive to more scoring here. 92.8 post-bye in 10 games. So certainly a guy that is on the watch list, as that's 14 points of value. But you'd have to see it in opening round. He does have the friendlier round 4 bye, which is a little bit more coverable, I feel like, as you'll know the forward rookies by then that are scoring more. You'll also potentially be a little bit better off in terms of the you may even have a mid-pricer starting to float there in that range rather than a rookie or something like that. So yeah, you may be a little bit better scoring off, and also just in the sense of all your premium midfielders are probably going to be available. You would expect all your mid-pricer midfielders probably available, as not many people have too many Hawks or Essendon guys in their starting squad. You're going to have like guys like Callum Mills, Perryman, Roberts, etc. Kitty Coppin's not going to get up, I don't expect now. But you're going to have all those guys available. So he might be like the only guy on the bye that you have. So you may already have, like a lot of people are looking at like 14 keeper players at the moment. Or 14 starting 100 plus or 90 plus guys. If you have that, plus like some of the stronger rookies, you're looking at a guy that his scoring won't be as diminished as some of the other guys on the round 3 bye. So definitely a guy that I want to watch in round 0. Where is it? Against the Swans, that's a tough matchup. But yeah, definitely a guy that I'm intrigued about. And we'll just go a little bit further. I kind of want to stop around about the 780k mark, which is just a couple more. Matt Kennedy, just don't see him being value, to be honest with you. I think there's another Bulldog mid-forward that is a little bit more value, and feel like he's just sort of versatile enough to take some differing roles in the Bulldog side, but obviously he probably didn't move because of wanting more midfield time, so I wonder if that will impact Bont, Libba, Treloar, etc. And then you've got the next guy down, Jesse Hogan. We don't like key forwards, to be honest with you. They don't genuinely score that well. As we've seen, a limit or sort of a lowering of the goals from, or the mass amount of goals from one singular player to more of a spread. So yeah, Jesse Hogan, I just don't think scores too well. Ben Keys, I really liked him when he was on ball for Adelaide a couple of years ago. I know I had him in my side as like a mid-pricer a couple of years ago. I just don't see him getting back to that new heights. I feel like there's going to be Curtin, Draper, Dawson, who else? Soligo, Rankin, and then Keys. I probably missed someone as well in that Adelaide side that they probably need to look at, but all of those guys are pretty young and could easily just churn out the midfield minutes that the Crows really need. They need some more speed on the ball and some more kick-happy players, I would say. But yeah, I just don't see Keys really getting up to sort of that 90-95 range that you needed his price point, as I don't see the role being present there. Waterman, I think this was a freak season and I wouldn't be banking on it at all. That's why he's under 1%. And then we'll finish on Simpkin, who he's done 90 in the past, if my memory serves me right. Simpkin, there we go. If I load for me, 95, 95. So we did 95.5, 95.5 back-to-back years in 21 and 22. If you scale up that That's 70.8 by a factor of 0.85. 70.8 divided by 0.85. And that gets that to an 83. So he realistically had 83, 95.5, 95.5, and then a 75.8, and then a 76. If you actually look at this as well, that's massively injuries as well. And if you look at his 2024, if my memory serves me correct, he did also have that concussion from Webster to start the year in the preseason game, so he kind of didn't have too much of a preseason. So yeah, it would definitely be interesting, as I thought that he found his form really late on in the year when he was getting a lot more CBAs. If we actually look at it here, last 8 games he had 87.3. If you actually look and go further, basically back to the bye or when he came back, 88.6 from 11 games. I could see him doing something like that. I just don't think he takes that next step, that really 90 step again with the midfield that he's going to have, and how I feel like he's going to be in and around the same CBA marker. So yeah, I just don't see him really doing that. And I feel like there is also some games, like we saw with Powell last year as well, where they just get stuck at half forward and it just does nothing for a game, and that's just cashed and ruined. Look at this game in particular here. Look at this run here, 3 games for a 50.3, where he just didn't get the CBAs and just didn't do anything. So that's what my real worry about Simpkin is, and that's why I wouldn't be starting him as well. But anyway, that is the video there going through the primos for the midfield, for the forward line, I should say. And then you'll see tomorrow the mid-pricer Madness forward edition, and then you'll get into some player previews, I think, as I was trying to do a ChatGPT team picker, but it just wasn't working. But anyway, if you did enjoy that video, remember to like and subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and if you are listening on Spotify, give me a follow and a rating over there, and I will see you guys tomorrow for the mid-pricer edition of the forward line. Bye, guys.